given that this was our third session, it's interesting to see a trend emerge where members are definitely starting to move from just tinkering to much more active, structured deployments of use cases within their companies. We initially had a try anything approach where anybody could see what parts of the business they could automate, and they ended up going to a governance squad. And through that governance squad, they were able to much more definitively select the real types of pilot case studies that made sense for them. And they're at the point now where they're about to deploy a in production custom service bot to help support their financial services customers. Another customer from the energy engineering sector described how their marketing team were the first team to adopt and jump in and use AI capabilities. And they've now moved to a point where their engineering team themselves have started formalizing their first use cases. The main takeaway, I would say, was that these experiments do need owners and they do need KPIs. So somebody needs to look after it and make sure that there is true business ROI at the end of it and feedback to management so that it gets pushed forward as opposed to just sitting there and being an experiment that somebody did in a back room. Organizations putting a full out ban on ChatGPT. So they're not interested in using ChatGPT, purely not being feeling that the information and the intellectual property is kept safe enough with that as a platform. And those ended up going for something like Microsoft's Copilot instead, which they felt was more commensurate with their internal regulatory obligations. So again, the marketing seems to be marketing and sales support is one of the use cases that gets the easiest traction. I suspect that's just because of the nature of the sort of creative nature and generative nature of large language models. But on the more sort of practical and business impacting, operational impacting side, we had, as I mentioned, the one customer that, or a member that went for a customer support agent. They chose that because they felt it had a manageable level of PII that they were pulling into the agent while also offering a really good ROI for the business. And then another one that got quite a bit of discussion was using AI and computer vision for more traditional tasks like document understanding and data extraction, which is still a massive part of most businesses. Tools that were mentioned, we had Microsoft's Copilot Studio, we had ChatGPT, and even in some cases, tools like Tavis for doing real-time video came up. The one theme that came out there was sort of transparency and communication and upskilling. That's sort of the critical three things that's mentioned quite common. We had quite a candid discussion, and that we are at a point now where people do need to realize that the world is changing really fast, and it's not something that's happening in the background, and they can sort of put their head in the sand and ignore it. So it's important to have open and honest conversations, and people need to be sort of upskilled and given a sort of track that they can walk to stay with the times. At the same time, really pushing the teams to upskill and start making use of these new tools. It's critical, and they need to nail those things to get the flywheel moving. Because then as soon as it's moving, the business starts adopting this faster and faster.
Expert Neil Malan. Now, Neil, this week you started by posing a rather interesting question to the group. What weighs more, 20 pounds of bricks or 20 feathers? Now, why did you do that?
Hi, Tom. Yes, that was it was an interesting poll that I came across, an experiment that some people ran with large language models to see how they deal with ambiguity and also to test some reasoning capabilities. So I posed that same question to the group, let them answer, and then gave them a little bit of additional context, 5 extra words to see how it would change the outcome. And what was interesting is I ran my own experiments, tested across Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash, Gemini 2.5 Pro, OpenAI's 4.1 Mini, 4.0, O3 reasoning, used Claude 3.7, Claude 4 Opus, and the new Grok 4 from XAI. And across all of those, the results with our human participants almost exactly matched the results from the large language models, where we had about roughly half of them getting the answer correct on the first turn, and then with a little bit of extra context, it jumped to about 90%, which is what we got with the large language models as well. And that, I found that quite interesting. What we're used to in terms of normal text-based interactions is also changing very quickly to become full multimodal. You have voice and images and text all happening at the same time with tool use, and it changes the dynamic entirely of what's possible.
Yeah, that was very impressive seeing all of that unfold in real time. So what about the risk and data security? Again, always comes up as a challenge.
Yeah, that's a discussion that comes up almost every time. We covered how it's useful to have tools like Microsoft's Copilot that's integrated within your ecosystem if you're a Microsoft house, your business runs on Microsoft. Similarly, if you're a Google house and you use Google Workspace, having Gemini in there makes it quite easy for you to not have to worry so much about the data security and compliance, because you've already got your data hosted with that provider. But similarly, we also had the question of, but what about OpenAI? Because ChatGPT is vastly superior in some aspects with the capabilities, but that then brings with it some data governance issues. So security was a topic that we discussed quite a lot, guided people to mostly try and use the tools that are available within your ecosystem. So if you're in Microsoft, use the likes of Power Automate to see how much you can get done, just to remove those external risks. To show people how quickly you can go from an idea to having something that is surprisingly good. And the follow-on effect of that is that it also starts to show how we're moving to a world where the content and services that we consume on a daily basis can very quickly move to a point where it is almost generated on demand, where we're so used to a world where there's an entire pipeline or ecosystem that produce things for us to consume, where with all of these AI tools, we're getting to the point where very quickly you can have it produced for you on demand based on your personalized preferences. And you need to think about that, how that filters into your business context as well, and how you serve your customers and interact with other parties outside of your business. People are starting to get used to AI and what it can do more and more. But every now and again, you still get a wow or a aha moment where what it's able to do just surprises you. And this AI music generation is one of those. So the one thing that I would say felt different in this session than previous ones is that we were a lot more practical and hands-on in this one, where we had questions around more advanced ChatGPT use cases. So for example, the one use case was around building how you would build a custom GPT for a HR chatbot, or for a job description assistant agent. And we actually went through the user interface and showed the members in the group how you would go through to build one of these custom GPTs, how you would share it within the organization, how that would work. We also went through more advanced ChatGPT use cases if you want ChatGPT to be able to do analytics for you, or look at a spreadsheet, but actually interact with the data in the spreadsheet and not just generate text based on what it sees using the agent capability of ChatGPT. We also covered personalization, so how you can personalize ChatGPT so that the way in which it interacts with you, the way in which it gives you answers, and how it should treat communication that you give it,
how you can change that and tailor it to your own preferences and needs, so it becomes a better communication partner.
Fantastic. Okay, right. Well, we will look forward to seeing people next year. There are 2 sessions at the first half of the year that are being planned in now, so we look forward to welcome people back then. And good to see you as always, Neil. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
See you
Tom.
soon.
Have a good day. Cheers.
Bye.